Have you ever reached a point in a game where every move left to play ruins your chances of winning? And not because you can't find a good move, but because there aren't any good moves to save your game? Today, we will learn about the most frustrating and powerful chess concept, Zugzwang. I will teach you to identify and use this tactic to beat your opponents. First, let's take a look at the definition of Zugzwang. Zugzwang is a German word that breaks down into Zug, meaning move, and Zwang, meaning compulsion. So, Zugzwang translates to compulsion to move. In chess, Zugzwang is when faced with a situation where any move your opponent plays gives you an advantage. Zugzwangs are often seen in endgames because there are lesser pieces and relatively lesser possible moves for each player. Now, here is an example of Zugzwang from a game of chess. In this position, it's black to play. Using whatever you know about Zugzwang, pause the video and try solving this puzzle. Before I reveal the answer, let's understand the puzzle a bit. White's king is in a cramped position because it is stuck below the black king and the black rook is a huge threat. At the same time, white is trying to promote their pawn to a queen. Now, the best way for black to stop the pawn promotion and gain material is by forcing Zugzwang. That's why the best move for black is rook e7. Over here, every move left for white to play gives black an advantage. The only two pieces white can move are the king and the rook. If white moves the king, black has a mate in 1. So, white has to move the rook and lose the pawn, leaving black with an extra pawn to win the game. You might be wondering why the best move is not rook c4, because after all, it still attacks the pawn. The reason why rook c4 doesn't give black an advantage is because this move allows the white king to escape, which means we lose our chance to force Zugzwang through the mate in 1. Now that you know what Zugzwang looks like, here are some tips for you to use it in your own games. Tip 1. Wait till the endgame. Although Zugzwang can occur before an endgame, the chances of creating an exact position for you to gain material using Zugzwang in a middle game or opening is very low. Tip 2. Activate your pieces. This is a basic chess principle, which is to activate your pieces to gain more control. For example, as you can see over here, a good move would be rook b8 because it controls more squares on the open file and because it could potentially help force Zugzwang in the endgame. Tip 3. Use your pawns wisely. In endgames, your pawns become one of the most important, if not the most important piece on the board apart from your king. Blundering pawns or pushing pawns without calculating a few moves ahead could lead to situations wherein you could end up in Zugzwang yourself. That's why you need to use your pawns with extra precision in endgames. Tip 4. Bring your king out. When you reach the endgame, your king no longer needs to be safely tucked away in the corner of the board. Instead, you should use your king to restrict your opponent from advancing their pawns and to improve your position. Kings are necessary in every endgame, Zugzwang or not, so always remember to bring your king out. Tip 5. Solve puzzles. You can use platforms like chess.com or Lichess to solve Zugzwang puzzles to help you identify the right move to put your opponent into Zugzwang. This way, when you encounter a similar position in one of your games, you will be prepared to maximize your chances of winning. The final step for you to learn Zugzwang is to begin practicing. I'm going to solve 2 Zugzwang puzzles and explain the moves to you. If you think you need extra time to solve a puzzle, feel free to pause the video. This is the first puzzle. In this position, the best move for black is king f3. This move forces white into a Zugzwang because if the white king moves away from the pawns, then the black king will move down and begin capturing the white pawns. Instead, If the white king decides to move down and attack the black pawns, then the following sequence shows how black will eventually gain an advantage. So, white decides to push the only pawn with an empty square ahead of it forward, leaving the black king to play a sly move by returning back to its e4 square to gain control and prevent the white king from moving near the pawns. As mentioned, here is the second puzzle. The most logical move for white in this position would be to play pawn g4 because the rest of black's pawns are blocked by white's pawns. This forces the black king to move behind and allows the white king to continue its journey forward. The black king moves, and the best move for white is to simply play pawn h3 because it forces black to either lose a pawn by pushing it, because any pawn pushed in this position would be lost, or move their king away and let the white king capture their free pawns. As you saw in this puzzle, it's very important to bring your king out and position it well to gain material through Zugzwang. And with this, you now know about Zugzwang and how to use it. Thank you for watching. Like and subscribe to stay one step ahead.